Thank you, everybody, for joining today. If you joined today, you obviously have an interest in Teams, or you may already be currently using it, like a lot of our clients are, and a lot of our clients are on today. Teams is a powerhouse. It has a lot of really cool things inside of it, and it's just a free application that comes with your Microsoft 365 license. Now, I say free. Obviously, Microsoft 365 isn't free, but it's a really good application. We use it excessively at Alltech. It's really helped our productivity. We like to share the things we love too, because our clients tend to love them as well. We also have Data Magic and Global Quest here. So just as a reminder what these webinar trainings are, it's a way for all three of us as MSPs to come together and provide value to our clients and to the community. We also have people, not just our clients, joining, which we love. So again, I'm Taher, Vice President, Alltech Services here. We're out of Florida. I want to introduce Mike Morlock in Buffalo over at Global Quest Inc., one of our presenters as well.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. I love these. We get a lot of good client feedback. We're like Taher's team. We live in Teams. Between the SharePoint functionality, actually, we use Teams Voice here also. It's a great product. It flows with me throughout the day, from my desktop to my laptop to my phone. So I'm looking forward to this one. Maybe I can learn something new like I do on every webinar. Taher, thanks for organizing. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love these things. And also we have Shane over at Data Magic in Texas.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, so sorry, I was just on the road. I had a memorial I was going to this morning, but yeah, we love these webinars. We love learning about Teams. It's been very powerful for our organization, and definitely all of our clients are getting on board with it. So the more we can learn about it, the better. I think these Teams trainings are going to be something that we do moving forward. I mean, I think we're going to be doing it every year, maybe a couple of times a year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we have done one every year. Tom's actually done one a couple of years ago for us. He did a great job. So we decided to invite him back for another one with all these new changes. This is what Tom does on a daily basis. He's an expert in Power BI, Microsoft 365. Look at that, a reaction. I didn't even know that was a thing in Teams, and I'm in Teams every day. So, we're really glad to have Tom here. He's a great presenter, a great teacher, and we're going to have a Q&A section at the end, as well as a recap. So without further ado, enough of me talking. Let's introduce Tom and learn about Teams.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks a lot to hear. So again, my name's Tom Robbins. So I am a Microsoft 365 architect. I take all of the tools and work with users and work with clients to solve their business problems. They give me their business requirements, and I build out solutions with Teams. Because as you'll learn as we talk, Teams is a completely customized, well, not completely, but it's a very customizable platform for you to to really streamline and improve your business processes and improve productivity of your teams. Teams really is the new modern workplace. I know a handful of companies that have sort of an end of life on Outlook, because email is just sort of the old clunky way of communicating. And as we grow, we learn that it's not as efficient as it used to be. So yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and jump right in. My goal for today, I mean, literally, there is so much power in Teams, and as an architect, I could spend a whole day or 2 days talking about all the ways we could implement Teams. So what I did was, this is sort of an executive overview for those of you who are not familiar with Teams, but then I built in a lot of demo where I can show you how to do things, how to create a team, how to create channels, things like that. So I gauged it around 45 to 50 minutes. Then at the end, I think we're all locked down for this as a webinar. So keep your questions and answers, or keep your questions, and then we'll do those at the end. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So most of you know that the world of communication and things like that has moved away from like the old clunky, typing a letter with a dear Tom salutation, folding it up, putting it in an envelope, licking the envelope, sending it to the postmaster, like that whole, the way Outlook works, sending mail through a post office and delivering mail. That's sort of the old way that we communicated. The new world is chat based. And I love when clients I work with say, I don't do that, right? We all do that with our smartphones, with our chat. If you use any social media platforms, it's all chat based. So Teams is chat based, and it allows you to break your conversations up into groups. We can chat one-on-one. We could chat with small groups. We could chat with our teams, and we can even chat inside of our teams by breaking our teams up into small chunks called channels. Teams is your hub for teamwork. It gives you a place to put all of your team's information. So your chats, your files, your documents, your action items, your to-do list, your contacts, everything, I call it collateral, all of your team collateral in one place. And of course, Teams is built on top of security that we trust. Teams is an application. Great thing about Teams, for your mobile device, for your laptop, for your iPad, Android, iPhone, it's all built on SharePoint. So the back end of Teams, the core back end of Teams is SharePoint. So your file sharing and things like that. The other core component of the back end of Teams is Exchange. So your chats and that information are stored in Exchange, your files are stored in SharePoint. All of that has security that we can trust. The cool thing about Teams, it gives us a degree of customization. So if you want specific things to be available to your teams, you can customize Teams to do that. So it's an application, put it on your phone, put it on your laptop, put it on your mobile device. It's persistent, which means if I chat with someone on my phone, sit my phone down and log into my laptop, that conversation is there. It's persistent. Everything follows you from device to device. So like I said, Teams is the new modern workspace. It takes all the most modern ways of communication and collaboration and puts it in one tool. Gives us one place to engage with our coworkers. Again, chat-based, not email-based. It's one place for us to find the team files and other important information. It's one place to share those files. Check this out, both internally and externally if it's enabled within your organization. No need to do attachments. If we've got a file and we need to share it with our internal team, but then we also need to share it with our B2B, we call that, our business partners, it's easy to do. That gives us control of the file. When it was sent as an attachment, we completely lost control of the content, right? If I send out 15 attachments, there's now 16 copies of a document. With Teams and using the SharePoint backend, we can now share files both internal and externally. One of the most powerful features that I'm using more and more, because I'm a creature of habit too, so I've had to learn how to use new functionality. The search in Teams can pretty much find anything you're looking for that was done in Teams or SharePoint or Office 365. So I'll show you the search in a bit. It's certainly an improvement over Outlook, and it's becoming the tool people prefer due to its simplicity and ease of customization. Of course, we know Teams allows us to conduct video and audio conferences, right? That's what we're doing right now. But to me, that's just icing on the cake for what Teams allows us to do to work together. So Teams is broken down. I just want to show you the core components of Teams. These are the ones out of the box, by the way. You can configure the core functionality, but out of the box, just quickly run down this list, and then we'll go in and take a look at how to set up some teams and things like that. Your activity in any social platform, you need to be able to see activity. Those are chats that you're a part of, things that you might have missed. When someone mentions you by name, we'll talk about that later, but I can mention someone by name to make sure they don't miss the conversation. I can mention an entire team by name. So we see things in activity like replies, things we liked. It's just the activity, the aggregation of all the activity occurring in Teams. So one of the first things I do, I've already done it this morning, when I sit down at my computer, first thing I do is jump into activity and see what it is I missed since the last time I was here. The next core component, of course, is the chat. This is how we communicate with our team members. It's the modern communication, chat like you're used to. Comes with all the bells and whistles of chat. You know, the ability to, you know, raise your hand and say hello and send emojis and do, you know, we can even do configuration of the chat, bold, italicized. So we have rich text control over our chat. So we'll show you that in just a moment as well. We can chat with individuals, one-on-one. We can chat within small groups, or we can chat with entire teams. And that's really what, you know, we learned from Outlook, right? We can send emails to one another, you know, send emails to multiple people. It's just so clunky in Outlook, the way we manage those threads and conversations. Core functionality of Teams is Teams. That word really runs together a lot. Microsoft Teams, we have Teams inside of Teams, right? But Teams are the single place where we go to work together with our groups. We have conversations there. We have shared files there. We have all of our documentation. We have important documents. We can track projects, track tasks we're working on, actions that a project team may have to deal with, issues. All of those are available in the core Teams module. So we'll take a look at that. The next piece is the calendar. A lot of people get confused. Teams is not a separate calendar. This is the actual connection to your Outlook. So in this calendar, you can see your Outlook. So inside of Teams, there's a connection to Outlook. So I can see my Outlook calendar. I can create meetings from there, create team meetings from there. I can join meetings from there. Then within actual Teams itself, I can create team events. So there's not a separate team calendar for every team, but we can create events and things from within the calendar. So I'll show you that as well. Of course, if you have Microsoft Telephony, so Microsoft comes with the functionality for you to have phone service, basically. So the calls module allows you to manage your contacts, and it's connected to Outlook. You can make calls, receive calls, check your voicemail. So Teams also is a soft phone, if you want to think of it that way. Finally, files. This module really aggregates all of your file activity. So it shows you files that you've been sharing inside of Teams, shows you files you've downloaded from within Teams chats, those kinds of things. So these are your core modules. Microsoft wants to keep it simple. Okay? For those of you who've been working in SharePoint for, 15 years like I have, this is really great because Teams gave us all of the things that we as architects have been building in SharePoint for many years to make it really easy to give us the core functionality and the core tools that we need. So just take you in really quick, show you an example of a I got like 15 windows. Let me get the right one. There you go. So this is Teams, and again on the left are the modules. This is a demo site, so there's not a lot of activity here. Let me show you an example of one with a lot of activity. So this is my actual work Teams. So you see there's tons of activity going on inside of my work Teams. Then there's the chat. From here, it's easy to compose a new chat. Let's say I want to send a message to Adele. Just put in Adele's name and then good morning. And there's all of the typical social functionality for composing messages. I can come in here and make it bold. I can make it an important message. This actually is a cool feature. If I make this urgent, it will notify the recipient every 2 minutes or 20 minutes that I mentioned them and I've got something important to talk about. Of course, we can attach things from OneDrive, insert all the cool emojis and smiles and things like that, insert images. So I won't go over all of these, but these are your typical, social platform tools for chat and engagement. Let's say while I'm talking to Adele that I forget to invite, let's see, find somebody else on my team. Well, let's see. I can't remember any of the names of people on my team about Miriam. So what I was trying to show you, let me do it this way. Let's say I want to have a conversation with both Miriam and Adele and Alex. So it's not just between two people. It can be between multiple people. So now between the three of us, we have our chat, and I can share files with the three of us. So Microsoft makes it really easy. I'll just grab something from my OneDrive, maybe a project table in Excel. And it's easy now to share those files with this team of people. And it actually puts a message in the chat for you as well. So the team could come here and open this document. We can collaborate, work on the document together. Okay, so these are the different modules. I'll dive into each of these other ones, but in just a moment. Your calendar, so this connects to my Outlook calendar, so I can manage my calendar without even open Outlook. It's actually interesting. I work for, I'm in Colorado, I work for the government here, and I probably don't get more than 2 emails a day anymore, because I live in Teams, everybody messages me in Teams, and I don't have to open Outlook, because my calendar is connected here as well. Under the Calls tab, this is if you actually have Microsoft's telephony service, you can make phone calls to people inside and outside. But anybody that's a Teams user, I can start a conference here, a video call or a chat call. Control how my voicemail is managed, so I can forward calls to voicemail. If someone calls me in Teams and I don't answer, send it straight to voicemail. All my contacts are connected to Outlook. Finally, files. So from here, I can see a list of recent files I've worked on, engaged with my team, files that I've downloaded would be here, and then I can even access my OneDrive from here. So notice Microsoft's whole goal here is to bring the most common core functionality of Microsoft 365 into one place for you. Like I said, I live in Teams all day. I rarely, if I hear, I just heard an Outlook ding a second ago, right? I'm like, who's messaging me in Outlook? I can do most everything in Teams, except obviously email. But okay, so let me jump back in, carry on with the slides. Just wanted to just jump out really quick and show you the activity. Let's talk more about the chat. Chat is either one-on-one or with groups of people. There's new and evolving tools for managing your conversations. You can pin common conversations or repetitive conversations at the top. Let's say I chat with my manager all the time. I can pin my manager's chat to the top. And I'll show you that in a second. Use modern tools to enhance your chats, like the GIFs, stickers, and emojis, typical social platform tools. Format the chat messages like I did. You can mark them important, attach files to the chat, give your chat a group name. So that's really cool. You noticed a moment ago when I included those 3 colleagues of mine in the chat. Instead of having their 3 names there, I can rename the chat to actually give it a group name. And of course, you can start a video or conference call with that group of people as well. So I think I showed you most all of those. The only thing I didn't show you was the options for managing the conversations. So let me pop back in. Some of the things I can do with a conversation, let's say Miriam. Let's say I chat with Miriam on a regular basis. I could pin Miriam's chat to the top. By default, they're grouped as recent. Okay, so notice if I expand recent, these are my recent conversations. But if I chat with Miriam on a regular basis, I can go ahead and pin Miriam to the top. Other features are mute. Let's say there's a lot of conversation going on in this chat and I don't want to continue to receive notifications on them. I can mute them. And what Microsoft will do is keep the notifications quiet for me, so I don't have to see all of that. You can pop the chat out as well. So there are a number of options, all contextual based, pretty intuitive. Right. So that was your demo of the chat. Let's talk about Teams. I want to spend most of my time here. The Teams module inside of Microsoft Teams is the core application for where our groups of people, our teams, collaborate with one another. They can range in size from a small product team of a few people, or in my organization, it could be the entire technology group. And we even break those teams down into other ones. There's the database group. There's the Microsoft 365 group. So you can have as many teams as there are teams in organizations. People often say to me, Tom, how many teams do we need? Well, the way I like to look at it is how many different types of meetings have you conducted? Like there's a meeting of HR, there's a meeting of purchasing. Within purchasing, there's a meeting of the RFP development and management team, right? So as many teams of people as you meet with, there could be teams inside Microsoft Teams. So they could be really small, like a project team, or really large, like the entire organization. In my organization, we have a team called Microsoft 365 User Community. It's a public team where everyone in our organization can join and ask questions and engage about Microsoft 365 tools and apps. Teams are where you'll chat with your teams. You chat with your teams in channels. So teams are broken up into channels, and we'll talk more about those in just a moment. Channels can be really thought of as a different topic or an initiative or just a smaller workspace. So basically, channels are breaking up your teams into smaller chunks. Okay, we'll talk more about that in just a moment. Channels can be open to the entire team, or they can be private, or you can have a channel that's made up of external B2B, your external business associates. So I can have a private channel that's a few members from my team, but then I can invite people from outside the organization. Of course, within a team, we can share files. The other really cool, the most powerful feature to me as an architect, Teams gives us the customization functionality to showcase things that are important to the team, like a specific spreadsheet, or maybe we're using Microsoft Planner to manage action items, or maybe I've got a Power BI report that's real time and I want to show the team. So Microsoft Teams is customizable so that I as an architect or you as a team owner can customize what the experience is for your users. And then this is just a screenshot of some example teams. The marketing team, Contoso would be the entire company. This is a small team, the public relations team. So there's many different teams you have within your organization. Teams are broken down into channels. Let's start off. Every team gets a default general channel. That's everybody on the team. So basically, if I'm explaining to my team what that channel is for, it's for any kind of chat, any kind of conversations, any kind of files, anything that's relative or relevant rather to the whole team. So anything that I want to publish to the whole team. Now, you may say, what if this team's got 100 people on it? The chat could get really, for lack of a better word, chatty. There could be so much discussion in the chat that I can't keep up. That's where we have channels. We break down the chats, the conversations, anything that the team is or the channel is sharing, collateral files are broken down into sub-teams. So let's say this Mark 8 project team, it breaks down into the people managing the budget. It breaks down to the designers. It breaks down to the digital asset people. It breaks down into the team that's managing the schedule and managing the resources. So you see all of these individual channels, general by default. The ones I've just highlighted are channels that everyone on the team can be a part of. Notice this last channel has a padlock. This is called a private channel. This is just for people in senior management on this team. So that may be the project manager, maybe your executive stakeholder. You know, what the private channel does is allows you to control who has access to the content. So there's private channels, and then there's public channels, and then there's channels you can share externally. People always say, gosh, how many channels do I need? I'm like, how many ways do you want to compartmentalize your sharing? Because you know, if we only had one channel here, let's talk about examples. If we only had one general channel, and the budget people and the scheduling people and the design people were all chatting in one channel, that becomes a lot of chatter, right? So we break down the team into individual channels to allow us to really control the flow of information and the sharing of that information. Okay, so let's take a look. Jump back in and use good old Microsoft demo. So here's an example back in the same team, Microsoft Teams I was just showing you just a moment ago. All of my teams are broken down here. I've got the sales and I'm on the sales and marketing team. I'm on the remote living or remote work team. I'm on the design team, the retail team. I'm on a project team. So there's a number of teams here. Microsoft gives you a couple of ways to find and filter. Let's say I'm looking for the marketing team. Just type in MARK and it'll filter out and show you the teams that match that. Take a look at the Mark 8 project team. This is the general channel. They all come with posts. So these are your chat. And they all come with files. They also always come with Wiki. I don't use Wiki very much. This is a really simple way of keeping notes. I prefer to use Microsoft's OneNote. But just to show you how customizable it is, as a site owner, I could right-click on Wiki and get rid of that tab across the top. So now we've got posts and files, and then we'd upload files here for my team, share information with my team. I've got my budget channel, same thing, posts and files. My scheduling and resources team, same thing, posts and files. Senior management is another channel, looks like all the rest, except it's private. The members of this channel come from a subgroup of members that are already on the project team. But again, chats and files, and it's really simple to create a conversation. Hello team, here is our new channel. Okay, pretty straightforward. Creating a team and creating channels are pretty simple. At the bottom down here, we can create a team. If your organization has templates, these are perfect examples of how you can use teams. So let's say I know I want to create a quality and safety team. This is a template, and it will come pre-built with channels. I like these templates because they give me ideas as an architect. So quality and safety has a general channel, of course, leadership channel, maintenance, production line channels. And then these are the individual apps that are available in the template. I can make it public or private, and I'll call this my new quality team. And it also gives me the capability to change the names of the channels if I'd like. Click create. Wait about 10, 15 minutes, just depending upon how busy Microsoft is in the cloud today, and it'll create the team for you. So those are really cool templates. I like using them. But once you've got a team created, adding new channels is pretty straightforward too. Let's say I want to add a new channel, and I'm going to call this my external stakeholders. So I know this particular channel is going to be for people outside the organization, and I can choose to share this with people outside the organization. Notice the other options here were standard. Everyone on the team can see this channel. Private, it's only accessible to a small group of people who are already on my team. And then this third option is to share it externally. Now, this shared option I'm showing you now is not available yet in the government cloud. It's only available in the non-government cloud. Okay, pretty straightforward. This is how easy it is, and of course, it's not working. Yeah, and a demo tenant, but it's pretty straightforward. Click next, and it'll create that channel, and then you can add your external.
I just
B2B.
want to comment.
Yeah, sure.
I just want to comment on that one because it's really cool. This is a new feature in Teams where you can actually have other entities collaborating with you within your Teams tenant. We haven't used it a whole lot, but I can just see as this continues to evolve, it's going to be used more and more. So just pointing that out is great.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's one of the big asks out on the user voice for Teams is the ability to add to private channels, because before you were limited to just members of the existing team. People said, well, my external people I want to add to the channel are internal and external, but they're not on my team. So this is a new feature that's fun. It's really useful, especially for those of you who have access to it.
Yep.
Let's see. File sharing, just spend a second on this. The file sharing is one of the most powerful pieces of Teams. The ability for you to, a different screen. Here's an example of a team. So this is a project team that I've architected specifically for managing projects. Notice for the project, we have a general channel, of course, and then we have the internal project team. So our vision for this is that we can add anyone, any stakeholder, both internally and externally to the team. But then internally, this is the section or the channel just for the internal project team. But notice, we've got a template for the file. So this managed the project through the entire project management process. Some of the tabs across the top, this is the piece that's customizable. You click on the plus sign, you'll see all the different ways you can add tabs and customization across the top. Add libraries, showcase an Excel document, create a form for the team, use SharePoint lists to manage data and metadata, a OneNote document, Microsoft Planner, Power BI, so many cool apps that are available to be added across the top. So the second one I've added is a view into Microsoft Project Online, which is the cloud-based portfolio management platform. So for this team, it was important for me to show in a snapshot the status of the project. Got a tab here for meeting notes. Use OneNote for this, and then I start with a template so that everybody has a template. Action items, this is an example of using Planner. So we've added Planner here, and the team would add action items, set due dates, and assign action items to individual team members. Using standard SharePoint lists, well, they're called Microsoft 365 lists now, but they're still SharePoint. Issues is another SharePoint list. Risks. So this is a perfect example. I like to think it's a perfect example because, well, I architected it, but it's an example of creating teams and breaking the teams up into the groups. So in my example, this is internal and external stakeholders use the general channel. Only my internal project managers use this channel, so this is private. And then within each channel, we obviously have the post, the chat, and the files. I give my team an example of what the file structure should be for the different phases of the project, and then using the tabs and all these awesome apps that are available. Come on. There we go. I can showcase information. So if you sit back and think about that for a second, what I've done is built the core process for my team. I'm not just giving you a place to go and figure it out on your own. I've actually created a blueprint for what the file should look like, for what the template should be for your meeting notes, for all the different places to manage your data, your action items, your contacts. So I've created a template for my team. And you as a site owner, or rather as a Teams owner, can do these things as well. Let me take a look really quick and see if there's any questions. Yeah, we are recording this. Yeah, Debbie, Teams is extremely powerful. Like I said, it's all I live in now. I keep Outlook in the background just to make noise. I know that's not everybody, but. Okay, let me jump back to the slides and see where I'm at. I'm probably all over the place now. So that was an overview of the teams and the channels, how to chat within a channel, sharing files, and the channel tabs. All right, not going to spend a lot of time on the rest of the functionality because they're pretty intuitive. I think the core thing to focus on are teams and channels and how you can customize those channels using the channel tabs. What I tell everybody, so in my organization, you have to request a team. We don't allow our organization to create teams on their own. And I'm a governance guy, and from a governance perspective, my goal with that is to make sure I walk you through the thought process. Sure, you can just use Teams and jump right in and start chatting, but I want you to think about how you want to design your teams to really make your teams efficient and productive. So what I do is I meet with everybody in my organization that wants to create a new team, and I help them architect that team. So what I just showed you is an example of the thought, all the thought that went into what a project team should look like, what I want them to see, and I help them streamline and make the process more efficient. So I think that's where we spend the most of our time, is in the planning and architecting of the individual teams. So yeah, your mileage may vary, but that's how we do it in my organization. Okay, the calendar. So I mentioned earlier, the calendar module in Teams is connected to your Outlook. So you don't have to go to Outlook to join a meeting or to create a meeting or to create an appointment. Microsoft made that available in Teams. You can schedule personal Outlook events as well as events that are connected to a Teams channel. Talk about that in just a second. Meetings that include a channel allow you to keep up with the chat, the file sharing, and etc. for repeating meetings. Okay, so let me back up and show you that. Put my demo back up. So here in the calendar, again, this is connected to my Outlook calendar, but I can also schedule meetings here. Let's say I want to schedule a meeting with my team. I can add my attendees. All of this is pretty straightforward. Set the time and date. Notice one of the options that I have here is that I can conduct this meeting in a Teams channel. So let that sink in for a second. Let's say that this is a team roundup. I need to talk with everybody right away. We've got an emergency. And let's say I know that I want to talk about it in the budget channel. Okay, so what this does is I can invite team members. And by specifying a channel, what this allows me to do is when the team starts, all of the chats and all of the file sharing during that meeting will occur in that budget channel. So this is something people don't think of a lot. You'll just have a meeting and you record it and you're like, well, where did my recording go? Where did the chat go? And where did the files that we shared go? If you conduct a meeting in a channel, when the meeting starts, your chats will be occurring in this channel. The files that you share will be shared in this channel. So if you have a meeting over and over and over again, now you know where to find your recordings, your files, and your persistent chat. So that's a really cool feature that I like to point out to my organization. I do webinars every 2 weeks. And it seems like this one always comes up. But having that meeting in a specific channel is really cool because it allows the content to persist from meeting to meeting to meeting. Now, what that means, well, let me back up. What that doesn't mean, this team doesn't have its own calendar, right? That's another feature. That's Microsoft Outlook, Microsoft 365 groups. Okay, that's group calendars, that's an Outlook. But this allows you to schedule meetings in a channel so that you can keep up with that content from meeting to meeting to meeting. That's one of my favorite features. Again, I live, oops, clickerson this morning. I live here in the in Teams. Let me show you one other cool tab that you can add to the top. One of the types of channels I like to add is a channel called General Meetings. And notice I make this accessible to everyone on the team. And I schedule all of my meetings for the entire team in this channel. I do that by adding a channel tab called Calendar. This isn't really adding a new functionality. It just allows you to see meetings that have been scheduled in this channel. I just call this my channel calendar. And any meetings that are scheduled, like I just showed you a moment ago in the calendar, if they're scheduled in this channel calendar tab will allow me to see the meetings that are scheduled here. I can go ahead and schedule a team check-in, click send, it'll post this to the channel, and then everyone on the team can join this channel meeting. So all you got to do is pop in here to general meeting, click on the channel calendar, and see all the meetings scheduled for this particular channel. So that's another really cool feature I like. Let's see. Let me get you back to the slide deck. Again, I like to spend most of my time on the Teams module, but the calls module, I really like this. We're experimenting with this here now. You know, in Colorado, we just had the biggest fire in Colorado history and destroyed 1,000 homes here. My organization manages emergencies within my county. So what we're looking into right now is buying Microsoft's telephony so that it makes it easy for people in the field to simply jump in Teams and make phone calls to internal Teams people as well as external. So the call module is a really cool place if you ever use that technology to manage your contacts, make calls to those contacts, keep in touch with your contacts, see your call history, and manage your voicemail. You can do calls without Microsoft telephony. You can call internal Teams people all day long, but the feature I was talking about is the ability to make phone calls through a smartphone, smart device. And just jump right in and show you this module. Again, I don't spend as much time on these because they're pretty intuitive. So from here, I can call contacts. If I hit the video call, I can make a call to Christy in our Teams. I can manage my contacts. These are connected to Outlook. So if you have external people and you have Microsoft's telephony, you can actually call external phone numbers from here as well. Manage your voicemail. If you have voicemail, it'll show here in the middle of the screen. This would be my voicemail log. And you can control your telephone behavior if you're connected to Microsoft PSTN telephone technology. Yep, transfer is available here as well. Yeah, I don't have all the features of the actual telephony because I don't have it yet, but transfer is something I believe you can do. Take a deep breath. All right. Finally, let's talk about files. Just a few minutes to talk about files. Within Teams, obviously, one of the core functionalities that you need is the ability to keep track of all the files. I don't spend as much time here, but basically Microsoft's goal here is to give you an aggregation, sort of like what you see if you open PowerPoint or Excel, you see your recent files. This is sort of the same concept. These are all the files I've engaged on or or opened or shared across all of my teams. Notice this column here, location, shows me where these files are found. So you can see this is really an aggregation of files I've worked with all throughout my teams and my team sharing and teams channels. These are files that I've shared in Teams. These are downloads. And then, of course, there's a connection to my OneDrive. And as with everything Microsoft, there's an ellipsis. So you can work with your files here, open your files, copy your files, move them around, edit the files. Okay. So besides the Teams chat, the Teams module and the chat module, those are the most important ones in Teams. Teams is really powerful. Like I said, I have a full-time job architecting Teams for here in Colorado and city government. So there's so much you can do with Teams. Teams is just, I just love it. All right. So pretty close to my mark. I'm 2 minutes over what my goal was. I think it's for 45 to 50 minutes. Let me take a look at the chat here. And Tahir, if you see any questions, jump in and you guys can help me field some of these questions.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and allow unmute.
Awesome, people.
Let's see.
I will get you a copy over to you of the slide deck if you'd like. We are recording it. I think those were a bunch of questions. So great question, Alexis. If you create a meeting in a channel, will it show up on your Outlook calendar? So if you invite yourself, that's the strange thing. You have to invite people for it to actually show up in their Outlook. There's nothing new there. If I invite you to a meeting and you accept, it shows up in your Outlook. Otherwise, you can create channel meetings that have no attendees at all. Then you're expected to sort of know as a team member, you have a recurring standing meeting. That is a confusing thing for people. I'll have people say, hey, Tom, there's a meeting in the channel calendar, but it's not on my calendar. Well, it's because I didn't invite you. But as a team, it's a standing recurring meeting. I like that because I don't clog up your calendar with all of that stuff. There may be so many channel meetings going on that I don't want to send an invite for everything. I just want you to drop in if it's relevant to you. So it's up to you. You have your choice there. Great question.
Let's see. So we answered the slide deck question, transfer question, that question.
There's a question about whether you can transfer a call when you have the telephony enabled.
Yeah, I don't have that feature, but I'm pretty sure I've seen it. I don't have, we don't yet have Microsoft's telephony because it's real expensive.
We do use it to where you can make phone calls for meetings. You have to enable that piece of it.
Yeah.
That's very useful. You know, if people are having trouble connecting to a meeting with their microphone or something, you could just call their cell phone real quick and it jumps them in the meeting and they can stay connected if they're having some problems, and that's helpful.
Yeah, let me elaborate on that because that's another feature. So I do have that. That's the ability for dial in or dial out to meetings. And that's another feature on top of this Microsoft telephony that I was talking about. So a lot of organizations, it's so funny, my niece just finished her doctorate. She just got a new job and she's like, Uncle Tom, there's a telephone on the desk here. I don't even know what to do with a telephone on my desk. So that's, you know, that's the world. The people coming out of school now are not used to hardware devices. So that feature from Microsoft allows Teams to become your telephone. And I love that even better because it's on every device. I don't have to have cell phones and desk phones. So.
Yep. Awesome. Mike, did you have a comment on that? I think you might be muted.
Hey, Mike, can't hear you.
Oh, there we go. How's that?
There you go.
Perfect.
Yes, you can transfer calls on Teams if you have the voice option. We're a full Teams voice shop. So yes, you can transfer calls internally and I can transfer them to my cell phone, stuff like that. Like
yeah, I thought I had seen that. Yeah, you would expect that. That's one of those like, yeah, it better have transfer.
We got another question. Is there any way to show your picture when you're in an external meeting or have external people? So far, I can only have this with the people within my organization. So I
Me
think,
or you?
yeah, so I think that's like the profile picture.
Yep.
I personally have not seen a profile picture for external users. So that may not be a current capability. I personally am not sure of that question.
Yeah, that's in user voice as well. The problem with that is, and if they're transmitting images from their Office 365 into your Teams, that's a security thing. So Microsoft's working on that, because I could put XXX pictures. So that's going to be a control an organization has where they allow people to show images and things like that. Zoom went through the same kinds of problems with that around security. So out in user voice, Microsoft user voice, there's requests for that. Yep.
Great question.
Great question. And it doesn't work that well even internally.
Yeah.
We have one user who's changed her picture and it won't show up it hasn't shown up at all. So
Gotcha. And I'm actually doing a tech tip today on presenter mode. So I want to show you all a quick bonus tip because I just learned this and I love it. If you're trying to impress people
I'll stop.
Okay.
There we go.
If you're trying to impress people when you're on a Teams meeting, when you go to share your screen, right when you click the share button, there's presenter mode. And so you can put yourself in 3 different ways to make yourself kind of be on top of the presentation. Here's an example.
Showcase yourself.
Showcase yourself. So I can't see what's happening, but I'm assuming y'all can see my screen here. And if I move my mouse around, if I'm presenting something, you're on the screen yourself. So it's kind of cool. Kind of makes it seem like more of a streaming thing. And people always go, oh, cool. So I just wanted to show that little.
Let me do it with my slide deck.
Okay, yeah, rather than just my back.
There
There it is. Perfect.
There you go. So hi everyone.
So if you're doing a slide deck, you can be on top of it. You can also do like the newsroom reporting where there's like a screen and it's in there and you're like a news reporter. It's pretty funny. There's like this cool background. So, you know, just a fun tip there to impress your colleagues.
We can always count on Microsoft to give us fun stuff like emojis and icons on top of the real stuff.
There's also the, this is the last tidbit and then we'll get to a wrap up. So thanks for everyone for bearing with me, but there's a, I forget what it's called. You might know, Tom, where it's like, it shows everybody as a group.
Yeah.
All like sitting at desks.
Yeah, together mode. I don't
Together
think I
mode.
can show it to you, but if you guys go up to more in your Teams meeting, you can switch to together mode and
Oh,
it shows
together
us
mode.
sitting like in the stands at Coors Field.
This is awesome. So can everyone see this? Can everyone see the together mode? So for the presenters, we could have been presenting like, there's my,
Let me see if I can share my screens to make sure you guys see it.
and the screen shows up. So this is together mode. Teams is full of fun. Yes, hello. Fun, nifty things like this. I may not even need to do a tech tip. I can just maybe take this snippet from this recording. So I'm going to turn together mode off, but just some cool stuff like that. I mean, Teams is just constantly adding. You know, what's funny is when Zoom started really taking on a lot of the market share for video conferencing, Teams like exploded with the features they included. So that was pretty cool. We get to take advantage of it now. So we got a few more minutes. Thank you everyone for staying on the call. I want to do a quick wrap up. One, Tom, I really appreciate your time today. It actually looks like we have another question here. So let's answer this first. When creating a reoccurring team meeting in a team calendar, does it allow the option to forward the meeting invite for one occurrence to someone outside of that team, but still within your organization, like you can in Outlook?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. Yes, you just go in and edit that single occurrence, and depending upon the version of desktop you have, you can also do some of those things in Outlook, but you can also do some of them in Outlook Online. Let me just make that point. You may run back and say, oh, let me go create a meeting in Outlook and make it a team channel meeting. Depending upon your version of Outlook, you may or may not be able to, but you can always go into Office and Outlook Online or Teams to do those things. I always tell my people, do it in Teams, because unless you've got consistent versions everywhere, there's mismatched functionality in the different versions. So do it all in Teams.
Perfect. Another question here from Peter. What is the easiest way to break into small discussion groups?
So you're talking about breakout rooms in a Teams meeting. So if you're talking about in Teams meetings, let's see, can we do a breakout group in this one? No, because of the way this is created. It's inside their team meetings menu, there's the option to do the breakout rooms if you've got that option enabled. And I can't show you right now, but it's pretty straightforward. You can also, if you're talking about within teams, you can create individual channels. So within a team, that's sort of like a breakout group within a team. So you could do it both in Teams meetings like we're in right now, or you could do it through channels in Teams.
Awesome.
All right, so and I can't, sorry, we can't show you that because of the way this webinar was set up, but
we'll do another tech tip on that, Peter. If you're on Data Magic, Global Quest, Alltech's email list, we send out tech tips weekly as well as webinar invites. So we're constantly trying to educate on these cool things to help, build the productivity within our clients in the community. So a couple things real quick before we wrap up in about 2 minutes. One, this whole thing's recorded and it's going to be sent out. So if there's anything that you missed, don't worry. It's all recorded and you'll be able to reference back. It's also going to be on all of our YouTube channels. So if you want to see future webinars, please subscribe. And you can also get notifications when we post new content. Our content is very educational, informative, and usually short, except for the webinars. So nice, easy way to continuously educate your organization. Might have some of your users subscribe as well if they want to keep learning this stuff. We have a webinar every month in 2022. Next webinar is actually May 4th. May the 4th be with you. And it's going to be on cybersecurity. Thanks, Mike. So cybersecurity is super important, and sometimes it's harder to get people to show up to the webinar, but we make it very tangible and very easy to, I guess, digest, right? So please show up to May 4th. Cybersecurity is something that's not overly expensive. We do it in a way that matches small, medium-sized businesses' budgets. And in addition, we're actually going to be bringing in an insurance expert to explain how these layers coincide with your premiums. The more layers you have on their recommendations and ours, the lower your premiums are. Cybersecurity insurance, I'm sure you've looked at it. It's a huge topic. And as you know, premiums are going up. And you have to ask yourself, why are premiums going up? If it was just a trick to make money, premiums wouldn't be going up. It's, as we all know, directly correlated to the risk involved with applying that policy. So yes, it is a risky time for all businesses when it comes to cybersecurity. This isn't cyber tactics, or scare tactics. This is just the reality of the new world we live in when it comes to cybersecurity. So making sure you have common sense cybersecurity in place. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about insurance. It's going to be a great conversation. Please attend if you can. The other thing is, when we send these invites out, please feel free to forward to anyone that you think might benefit from this. It's not just exclusive to people on our email list and social media, etc. Feel free to forward it out to anyone that you think might benefit. It actually helps us a lot and it helps them a lot. The other thing is, we talked a lot about Microsoft 365. A lot of our training is around that. We all actively sell it and love it. So we want to make sure the organizations that we provide it to know how to use it, because they're paying for us every month, and we want to make sure they can optimize that investment. So the name of the YouTube channel, Alicia, is Data Magic, Global Quest, and Alltech Services. We can send out links to subscribe in the follow-up email as well. I'm going to make sure I write that down.
And the good news is, once you subscribe to that channel, you can go to all of our past webinars, any future webinars, and just follow along with that content.
Yes, definitely. And then Cheryl, how do we get on the list? So you can make sure, on our website, there's areas to sign up for our newsletter or an email. You can email whoever it is that invited you to this webinar, whether it was Data Magic, Global Quest, or Alltech. We can get you on the list. It's purely educational, which is the way we like to keep it, and we keep sales stuff mostly out of it, right? It's really trying to promote education, because that benefits everybody. Alexis is asking, is there any way to run a specific training? Yes, we all offer that as well. So whoever, again, invited you to this, just reach out to them after the meeting and we can schedule a one-on-one not one-on-one, but one-on-team training on Teams and pretty much any other Microsoft 365 application. No problem. Thanks for the question. Well, we really hope that you benefit from this today. Mike, Shane, anything that you wanted to say before we conclude?
This is our best attendee number of attendees ever. So thank you for everybody joining. Again, suggestions for training, let us know. We're open to new ideas to get you trained up and use these products.
100%. More suggestions.
Yeah, I feel like these are going better and better each time we do them, Taher. You really got this down to an art. So we appreciate you coordinating all that for us. And I know that all the users, they really appreciate the content. So thank you.
I appreciate it. And thank you to everyone that came on. And of course, to Tom, great job as usual. If there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and conclude. I'll send the recording and a follow-up email out. We'll all be sending that out shortly.